Good morning. It's Make It Happen Monday. And those who are new to the show, this is a show where we share stories, strategies, and ask questions to help you get success without the stress. And today we're talking about the stress of getting dressed. So without any further ado, those who are new to the show, we will ask you questions. I want you to think about, have you ever had that situation where you're getting ready to go somewhere and everything you pull out of the wardrobe, nothing feels like it fits, nothing feels like it's good enough. And before you know it, you have a pile of clothes on the bed and you're almost in tears and frustrated and you're thinking you'd rather not go out than have to deal with this. If you do, then I want you to know that you're not on your own. And there's many of us that go through that phase, but I also want to encourage you to think about what is happening. What is that all about? And I've been very privileged over the last couple of weeks, months, no, it's over a year now, to be working with a lady called Lisa Newport Style. Well, she's not called Lisa Newport Style, she's called Lisa Newport, and her business is called Lisa Newport Style. And I contacted her, we met actually at an event, and we were chatting about 18 months ago now. And I remember feeling a bit like that. Now, it hasn't helped because I had set myself a goal in March 2020 or January 2020 that I was going to be more sociable. And I was realizing that when I went to go out, I found it really, really difficult to know how to decide what to wear. And then obviously we had the pandemic, so I didn't really go out, so I didn't have to do that. So I was able to practice behind the scenes for the last 18 months, 2 years, about what do I actually want my clothes to say about me. So one of the things I want you to think about in terms of your clothes, good morning, whoever's with me this morning, please say hello. It's lovely to have you here. Is if you're getting stressed about something and you know by your this is not about judging anybody else judging you, but you know that the reaction you're having isn't the one that you want to have. I know that just before I go out, the last thing I want to do is feel like I'm in a meltdown and I'm stressed about how I look and what I'm going to wear. And so it's really important that we get to I think so anyway, is actually find out what is it that's being triggered there. So for me personally, I just knew something was wrong, but the frustration thing is I didn't know why. And working with Lisa, what I've discovered, which I had no idea, was one of the questions she got us to think about is, what do you want your clothes to say about you? Now, for years, I had external that, you know, you need to wear clothes that make you look slimmer, or because they'll be like, oh, does this make me look big? Does this make me look fat? So it's almost like I'd been conditioned to actually make my, I was only, if things made me look big, I didn't want it. But here's the thing. I discovered, which you may not realize this, that I'd look in the mirror and I think it was okay. And then I'd see a photograph and I was like, oh, I don't look okay by my standard. Well, what I didn't know then that I know now is that our brain, I do know our brain's a pattern spotting mechanism, but it's also looking for asymmetrical, which is why we can be critical when things don't seem in proportion. And so it was to do with the length of my hems, where my top stopped, where my trousers stopped, those sorts of things. It meant that when I looked in the mirror, I thought it looked okay. But when I saw a photograph, I was seeing that the perspective part of it seemed to stand out more. And sometimes it was the angle of the photograph. So what am I going on about? Those of you know that the Do Like Get or Ditch system is all about setting you up for success, and it comes in, there's 3 core pillars. So it's like, what would you like to have happen? And what I wanted is to be able to get dressed and feel awesome when I go out. How I needed to be was actually having more patience and being willing to learn, but also ask for help when I knew it didn't work for me. It doesn't matter what anybody else thought. I didn't like it. I didn't like what I saw on the screen or on the picture, but I didn't know why I didn't like it. So I felt really frustrated and really stuck. So it's been able to ask for help. So I've recruited the help of Lisa, and then Lisa's given me some technical reasons as to why I might not like it. But what she's also been doing is giving me some space to really question, what do I think? And so I hadn't really thought about it, the truth be known. I didn't really know what I wanted my clothes to say about me. And because I hadn't been used to asking myself those kinds of questions, it has taken some time for those those answers to emerge. It's not been an instant process because I've had to build up the muscle and practice. And actually what's happened is when I put an outfit on that feels awesome and I see it in a photograph and I really like it, I've had to go, okay, what is it about that that's working? So one of the things that I want you to think about, whether it's the dressing that you're getting stressed with or something else you're getting stressed with, is first of all, get clarity. If it was just the way you'd like it to be, it'd be like what? Then think about how do you need to be? And when you're going through the change, the thing that needs to change, what kind of resource or support might you need? Now, one of the things that's worked with me being a part of the Project Fab group that Lisa runs is not only have I got Lisa that can give me the technical reasons, and that she's not saying it doesn't work because she isn't telling me that I can't wear those colours and I can't wear those things, but she's saying you might be picking up on why it's not working because tonally this or the shape is this, or proportions is this. And it's like, okay, so then it gives me something I can tweak or change. And then when I change it, I can look in the mirror and go, do I like it or don't I? So this week I had a bit of an epiphany because ultimately what we're doing is changing the way that we give and receive feedback. I was only giving myself feedback based on, you look fat, or it doesn't feel very nice, or you're gonna make a fool of yourself, or lots of stuff. And it was really impacting my confidence to go out socializing, and other aspects of my business as well. Good morning, Gail. You're really interested in listening. Thank you. We're just talking about clothes and what you want them to say about you. And so one of the questions that Lisa asked us last week that has absolutely blown me out of the water, it's like given me a completely new perspective, is how do you want to feel in your clothes? Now, I had been focusing on, I wanted my clothes to be comfortable and I wanted them to feel like smooth. I don't like itchy fabric. I knew that, but I hadn't yet really sort of ascertained how I wanted to feel, perhaps more on an emotional level when I wore clothes. And do you know what I've discovered is I want my clothes to feel, I want to feel supported. And I want to feel held, which is slightly different to what I thought needed to be fitted so that it was flattering and I looked slim or slimmer or in proportion, that sort of stuff. I actually wanted my clothes I wanted to feel supported. And I only worked that out because I was going to a speaking gig on Friday and I put a pair of leggings on and something just didn't feel right. But I'd never asked myself questions like, how do I want to feel in my clothes? And I just knew something was wrong. And so I was checking in and it felt the fabric was quite light. It felt a bit thin. And I noticed that I felt a bit vulnerable. It was like I felt a bit exposed. And I was like, I don't like this. Got a pair of jeggings on, slightly thicker fabric. And I felt supported and held and it felt awesome. And it was like, I sort of like, yeah, this is it. This is the winning recipe. Now, Lisa's been working with me about style statement. She calls them duck words. So it's like the words that describe what you want your clothes to say about you. So I wanted my clothes to say that I was fun, that I was confident, and approachable. It'd be actually great feedback from everybody today. I'm questioning, I think my hat is fun. I think it portrays confidence. I know that it takes confidence to wear hats and I love wearing them. And there are times when I think, perhaps I shouldn't wear the hat today because I don't want to really bring attention to myself. And I definitely don't wear them when I'm coaching. So it's not part, I don't do that when I'm actually working with a client. But I was thinking, I wonder whether in my branding, does the hat make me approachable or not? So I'd love to have your feedback on that if you're watching today's video and you've got any thoughts or opinions. And please don't worry about sugarcoating it. If for you it makes you feel a bit unapproachable, I'd love to know. It's really important. But what I'm going to do is find out, like I would with any feedback that I tell my clients to do, is about collecting feedback and data, and you're looking for patterns. So it's not about, just because one person doesn't like it, although we know, don't we, sometimes that if you're a bit sensitive, like I am and I can be, is sometimes like 20 people can say it looks awesome, and then one person says they don't like it. You will end up spending more time listening to that one person. Well, that won't happen with me, I promise you. And it's not that I'm not going to listen to your feedback. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm going to take it as an accumulation of information based on, a pattern of what people are saying. But also it's about it, by getting that feedback outside, what it does is help me to understand what I'm thinking and feeling inside. And so quite often when we get feedback from people about what they think we should or shouldn't do, when it impacts us, sometimes it can be because we were thinking that already, and that's why we listen to that more. And sometimes it's more to do with that we worry about what people think, and we might feel shame or embarrassment. And so that one piece of feedback gets all of our attention and it distracts us. So one of the things that I encourage you to do is get clarity of what you want, be aware of how you need to be, and get curious about what kind of resource and support you might need as you go through the change. And I know I need feedback from people to tell me their honest opinions, because that's what works for them. I'd like to know why it's not approachable. I'd like to know get the evidence. But then it's my job to collect that feedback and then go to someone like Lisa, who's an expert, and she can tell me, some of the science behind the psychology of colours and shape, etc. And then after that, I really have to come back to myself and go, what would I like to have happen? What works about it for me? Why do I wear it? Those sort of questions. So it's been really, really interesting thinking, and I want to invite you today to think about your clothes. Those who know the Do, Delegate or Ditch program, we're looking at that this week on our call actually, is how do you make decisions and how do you make good decisions? And so I realised with my clothes, what I was doing was often making decisions based on what felt comfortable, but I didn't always look in the mirror to see whether I liked it. Was it coordinated? Did it match? Did it fit well? I basically didn't like looking at myself because, my sense of self was, I don't want to see how big I am, that sort of. So I wouldn't even look in the mirror. So one of the things that I wasn't doing was actually deciding, whether I liked the look of it myself. So one of the things I realised about my decision making when it came to clothes was it's more, I'd wear something because it felt comfortable, but I didn't necessarily look in the mirror when I was buying it, or even when I was getting dressed to go out, to say, do you like what you see, Cheryl? So that was one thing I noticed. The other thing I was doing was dressing based on what I thought other people thought I should wear. And I hadn't really ever learned, I don't even think even as a child, I'd really learned about what did I like? What did I want my clothes to say about me? So it's been really fun working with Lisa and discovering, what do I want my clothes to say about me? A question I never asked myself. How do I want to feel in my clothes? And what I've discovered is I didn't know the answer to those questions. But by playing with my wardrobe, putting things on, taking photographs, putting them into the group and saying, what works about this for me is this, what's not working is this, and I don't really know what I could do to make it work better. And then other group members are sharing what they've tried, and they're putting their photographs of their outfits. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could try a belt, or I could try this colour, or I could shorten the thing, or I could gather that there. And it's just been really, really good fun trying on lots of different things, and then getting to be able to look at a photograph and actually go, well, actually, I really like that. So now if somebody said they didn't like it, it doesn't matter. But I am in that phase at the moment going, I love the hat, and I know it works from a business perspective because it's about memorable marketing. I know that when we complain that people don't listen, it's rarely the truth. They often have listened, they just haven't remembered what we've said. So I wear the hat because I like hats. I like to be different, which I surprise myself when I say that out loud. And I also want people to remember me because I know that it's really tough asking for help. But if I say something that's helpful and useful, I know that it's easier to scroll through social media and go, oh, there's the lady with the hat. Because in a sea of noise, it's more difficult for people to find me if they can't remember my name, they can't remember what I said. But the listening detective and the hat help with the memory. So I know why I'm wearing it. But one of the words about what I want my clothes to say about me is that I'm approachable. And so there's a part of me that says, well, I'll have to be curious about that myself. What do I think's approachable? And if someone's really confident and they're dressed in bright colours like I do, there's obviously some part of me that thinks that might be a bit off-putting for some people. I have no idea where that belief comes from, so I'm going to have to do some research and a bit of reflection on that. So that's the thoughts for today. The questions I want you to ask yourself, and I'm going to do our normal questions at the end for Make It Happen Monday for us to do the setup for the week. But I want you to think about, what do you want your clothes to say about you? And how do you want to feel in your clothes? And it was really interesting because I think what do you want your clothes to say about you puts your attention on what you want it to communicate to the external world. But how you want to feel in your clothes is more about how you want to communicate, how it communicates to you, how they make you feel. And I've realised that I have spent far more attention on feeling comfortable rather than feeling attractive or even sexy or held or supported. These are words that have come up for me this week. It's just been absolutely fascinating discovering what happens. Now, I will just say to you this. If you decide to start this journey and you want to get in touch with Lisa Newport, I'll pop the comments underneath. I'll put the link in a minute. If you want to follow this journey, you want to get in touch with Lisa Newport or somebody else, if you decide that's where you want to go with this, is that please be aware it doesn't guarantee that you're going to have no piles of clothes. I still have piles of clothes on the bed after getting ready to go out. The difference is it's been more like a really playful dressing up session, and it's really fun rather than stressed over it. So that's it for me today. It is Make It Happen Monday. I'd love to know, what do you want your clothes to say about you? I'd love to hear how your clothes make you feel currently. And if you want that to change, then please reach out, either message me or put a comment here and I'll put you in touch with Lisa. I know that community has been a really great resource for me to tap into and find out what I think and what I feel and what I want my clothes to do for me. So without any further ado, it is Monday. So it is time to just check in with you and think, now that you've heard that, this week, what would you like to have happen? Take a moment now, write your answer down or think about it, and just notice, are you talking about what you want or what you don't want? Or you talk about what you want more of or what you want less of? So if you are talking about what you don't want or what you want less of, the question you might ask yourself is, when you don't have that, then what happens? It's really much easier for you to support yourself and for other people to support you when you talk about outcomes, what you want. So whether it's talking about your week this week or you're talking about your relationship with clothes, etc., what would you like to have happen? Once you've got the outcome written down, you might ask yourself a couple of questions and pick out a couple of words, 2 or 3 words out of that statement that sound like it's outcome focused and it's what you want and it sounds resourceful and helpful to you. And find out, what do you mean by what you say? So what kind of is that? Is there anything else? But also, what would you hear and see that will tell you that you've got it? And be curious, what would be the impact for that? So once you know what you want to have happen, think about, how do you need to be? What kind of you is that you that would make that happen? Where does a you like that come from? Is there anything else about that you? And last but not least, for you to be like that and for you to get that outcome, what kind of resource or support might you need? Those of you new to the channel, they're the kind of questions I ask as the listening detective. I work with a process called Clean Language. My job is to help you to listen to yourself so that you can make sense of what you want, so that when you're going through change, you give yourself more effective feedback to motivate yourself through the difficult and uncomfortable parts of change. So I won't say that my journey with clothes has always been really, really joyful. There have been moments when I put an outfit together and I thought I looked absolutely fabulous, and then I saw a photograph and thought, oh my gosh, I thought that was great back then, but now I'm not so sure. But that's part of learning. Do you know what? We learn. When we know better, we do better. So have an amazing week. It's the 7th of March that this is going live. Have a fantastic week. And you know where I am if you need support. Speak to you soon.